All right. Hi, everybody. Tony and Sarah Zolecki. We are live on a Monday. Happy Money Monday. Oh my gosh, what a great week ahead. And we are super stoked to hang out with you guys today because we are going to talk all about the stuff that goes on in here when it comes to prospecting and recruiting. And for those of you that we have not had a chance to meet yet, we've been in the profession for 25 years, basically grew up in the business and have oh my gosh, built a really big business all around the world. And we just love working with brand new people, just helping them see just what's bigger for them. But also, I'm so just like, I guess, addicted to seeing people go from kind of where they are in the beginning, they get started, to really kind of blossoming and kind of stepping into their own and creating massive success inside of network marketing.
Yeah, and this training is going to be so key for you because we talk to people every single day about our business, about our product, about our service, and there's stuff going on in their minds. And if we were all mind readers, what this business would be a whole lot easier, right? Because you would know what they're thinking. But over the years, we figured out, what prospects are thinking, and we're going to give you the 5 things that go through their mind and how to get them to say yes and move them forward versus move them away.
Yeah. So, all right. So anyways, if you guys think about this, like what Tony said, like being able to actually read the mind of a prospect, like, oh my gosh, right? Would that be some great advice or what? Drop us a 1 below. I know a lot of you guys are watching live today. And, I think that's the thing, guys, is really understanding that there are really only a few things that go on in their mind. And if we can help answer them, right? If we can help them make a decision to a yes, right? The number of signups and the number of recruits that we have will not only double, but more than likely probably triple, right? And so there's just a few of those things. And so I'd encourage you guys, take some notes. These are things that we actually written down ourselves that we've memorized over the years. But you're going to realize, like, the longer that you're in this business, you're going to hear things over and over and over again, right? And it's funny because a lot of times when the prospects tell you these things, they act like we've never heard it before, right?
Yeah.
Like they're like the only ones that are actually thinking this, right? And so, we don't want to say anything. I'm just kind of, I just smile and nod and listen and just help them move through that. Because, really what it comes down to, all these things that are happening in their mind really comes down to being afraid, right? If you can help them just get clarification on stuff, they'll more than likely say yes. Or even sometimes too, it's a different perspective they have in their mind, or some perception that's actually not even real, right? And so the very first one that we want to cover is, how many of you guys have ever heard from a prospect, and they might say this and they might not say this, but it might be happening in their minds. They're saying, hey, I'm not a good salesperson, right? I don't sell. I'm not a good salesperson, right? Because we've all talked to a teacher. We've all talked to, people that are in professions that aren't in sales, right? But I think for most people, guys, it's just, most of us have a product or service that we love, right? Drop me a heart if you love your product, if you love your service, right? And so it's, what it is having the ability to show them, right? Give them examples of people that have fallen in love with your product, fallen in love with your service, and how you actually market that. Right. So helping them kind of like debunk the myth of feeling like they have to be this car salesman. Right. And nothing against that. Tony's to sell cars. Yeah. Right. He hates when people say that. He's like, why do you say that? We're not all slimy. I swear to God, we're not. He was actually awesome. And but giving them examples. Right. So, for those of us that love to shop online, which is probably all of us, right? Think about all these different places that we've shopped before. And right after we're done shopping, they ask us if we want to share, right? And we don't get all upset. We don't get all freaked out, right? Like, how dare they ask us to share this? How dare they, right? Because really what's happening is we're actually selling, right? And so I think just helping and educating your prospect on, hey, this is what sales actually looks like for us, right? We're a simple mom, a stay-at-home mom, or someone that's never been in sales. Like, what does that actually look like, right? But I think too, guys, it's also on top of that, helping this person be part of something, see that they can be a part of something bigger than them, right? A lot of people, they get involved in network marketing or involved in companies because they see a cause, they see a movement, they see something they can be a part of. And people love that. Like they love that piece of it. I know for myself personally, that's why I got involved. I know I got involved because of the money, but again, we're all different. But I definitely got involved because of the movement and being part of something bigger than me. Okay.
And when people say, I don't want to be a salesperson, I'm not a salesperson, here's what you need to understand is that you just got to think about what maybe happened, a past experience that didn't go well for them, or something that they were pushed into and, made a quick decision, and maybe they, didn't have the best results. They fell flat on their face. They might have had a product, they might have had a service that, they had to move in their world to make money, and no one basically helped them. No one, went through the whole process with them, that it could be a smooth process for them. And, there's a backstory there. So a lot of times I like to find out, okay, tell me what's happened in the past. Tell me what you sold that didn't work. Tell me why you're feeling this way, right? Because here's what we know is like, we recommend things all the time, right? Whether we at a good restaurant, we see a good movie, right? We buy some cool shoes, we go to, a shop and get something we really like, we get a new car, whatever it is. And what happens is you're excited about it and you start talking about it, and you're selling that to whoever you're talking it to, whether you think you're selling that, you're excited, you're passionate, you're like, man, so fired up, and there you go. And I think for most people, they hear the word sales and they just get all weird, when that's the world we live in today.
Right.
Everyone is selling everybody something, or recommending something, or giving their point of view, right? Or, letting people know this is how I feel and this is why. And that's the same thing when it comes to this piece.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I love what you said. I mean, that's something to remember too, guys, is that, the backstory piece is important. So no matter what they say, right, or no matter what they're feeling, or, they might be, they might not necessarily come out and say, I don't like selling, but you can tell by what they say, they're like, oh, they're kind of hung up on that. Don't be afraid. You don't have to back down on, because they've got, quote unquote, this objection. Just understand, like Tony talked about, they usually have a story. And so be the first to be like, when I've had someone say something and it sounds bad, I'm like, oh, that sounds like a good story. Tell me about that. Like, what happened? Because then you're actually able to get under all this information and understand, like, oh, that is why they're feeling the way they're feeling, right? It allows you to put yourself in their shoes. And so, don't be afraid, no matter what the, feeling is or objection or what have you, ask for the story. Because I think too, when people know that you actually really care about them, you're not just trying to like get them in the deal or recruit them as a person, right? And they understand that they're like, wow, this person took a minute to actually address my fear, why I'm actually afraid of something, right? And what that does is it immediately builds trust, which we all know that when people like us and trust us, guess what? They do business with us, right? Which is at the name of the game, right? So, so be thinking about that backstory. All right. So number two, the second thing is that most people are dissatisfied in their life, but guess what? They are afraid to change, right? They are afraid to change. They might like the idea, they might like the concept, they might like the business model, but they're like, oh, I don't want to change, right? The reality is most people have settled. Most people, they've shelved their dreams years ago. They shelved the things they wanted to do, right? And they just said, well, the famous line, right? Well, it is what it is, which is a terrible line, right? It's a terrible line. So it doesn't have to be it is what it is. So what you need to do with your prospect is, guess what? Show them what's possible. Show them what's possible, right? Like for those of you that have been in a while, like in the chat below, like, write something that didn't seem possible to you, but is possible now because of your network marketing business, right? We've seen so much stuff happen in our life over the last 25 years, but the possibilities are endless, right? Maybe it's quality time with their kids. Maybe it's not missing soccer games anymore. Maybe it's paying down credit card debt. Maybe it's getting healthier, right? Maybe it's, I want to be around a bigger, I want more friends.
Bigger community.
Yeah, right? Bigger community. I want a mentor. I want to do something I can be proud of. I want to bring something to the table besides just my husband, right? Like I want to have a sense of accomplishment too, right? There's all these things that are amazing, amazing benefits, right? But you have to sit down and share these with them so they understand, like, hey, I know that change is scary, but gosh, look on the other side of change. Look at all these amazing things that can happen when we start working together, right?
And one thing you need to think about when you're talking to people every day is that they're in a rut, they're stuck most of the time. They've accepted mediocrity where they're just like, you know what, I guess this is how it's going to be for the rest of my life, because they don't want to change. People,
Yeah.
when they think about change, they just like start sweating. They start thinking about, oh my gosh, my whole life's going to get thrown out of balance, and it is just going to be, you know, I can't see the future. I can't see what it's going to look like. And they start freaking out.
Yeah.
And
The unknown.
The unknown. Yeah. They just don't know what it's going to be. So what you've got to do is like, you've got to bring them along. I always call it slow them down to speed them up, and, you know, let them see what your business, what your product, what your service can do for them, and start showing them and paint a picture. People, they move around vision. They move around you painting a picture. They move around you showing them that it is as crazy as they think it is. And that, you know, sure, you're going to shift a couple things in your life, but it's going to be in a positive way. It's going to be in a encouraging way. It's going to be in an uplifting way. And you're just getting people at ease. You're getting people to take a deep breath. You're getting people to see that, holy cow, this isn't as scary as I think it is. Wow, this change could be good for myself, my family, the people around me in my world. Oh my gosh, the people that I get a chance to work with, the company I get a chance to work with, these awesome products and this awesome service that I get a chance to be around, that I have just seen and found. And what you're telling me is absolutely incredible, what I'm hearing right now. So it's sinking in, and I'm actually getting more fired up inside as you're talking to them and you're painting that picture. As long as you slow them down to speed them up and you give them a clear picture of what it looks like, they will take a step. And if they feel comfortable taking that first step when it comes to change, they'll take a second, they'll take a third, they'll take a fourth, and then they're in, they're good. And now you just lead them and you give them the path that they can win on.
Yeah. And I think also helping them understand, like, hey, this is a part-time gig, right? So for a lot of us, you know, mom in particular, you know, and dads, I shouldn't say that, we're spinning all these plates, right? So we're spinning all these plates. So they, you know, most of the time people love the idea of network marketing, but they're like, oh my word, if I throw one more plate on here that I'm spinning, if I let one go, it's going to crash, right? So you have to show them, hey, listen, this is how you can work this business 5-10 hours a week, right? By, reaching out to some people, sharing a code, whatever it is, right? They need to see, like, hey, this isn't going to completely engulf my entire life, right? Because 90% plus work this business part-time and make great part-time income, right? So you have to make sure to share it, because I think in their mind too, they're thinking, I have to put in like 40 hours a week on top of my 50 hours a week I'm working, and I'm trying to be a good spouse, and I'm trying to raise kids, right? So show them simplistic, right? Show them how, hey, listen, this might be a little bit of change, but not much. You know what I mean? Like, we're not asking you to, do some crazy stuff. It's just some really simple things to kind of just get the ball rolling, right?
Yep.
So number 3.
That's awesome. This one is huge. And it's what prospects, they think, oh my gosh, this is too good to be true. And a lot of times they think it's too good to be true because the person they're talking to is over exaggerating. They're making crazy claims when it comes to product, service,
which
income.
we don't need to do, by the way.
and the prospects going, you know what? There's just no way. And it always amazes me because, I used to throw these big numbers at people on all this money they could make in the profession, right? And they can. But what I found is this: if someone's typically used to making $3,000 a month, they can usually see double that. So they can usually see $6,000 a month. But if you start hitting someone at 15, 20, 50 grand a month that's making $3,000 a month, they're just like, oh my gosh, there's no way.
Right.
I could never do, because they can't see that far. So you don't need to over exaggerate anything you're doing. But what you do need to do is you need to talk in stories. You need to be a storyteller all the time, especially here, because they will connect with stories. They will connect with stories. Like if you're talking to a teacher, I love putting them in a story chat with some other teachers, right? That they can identify with. If, they're a construction worker, put them in a chat, with someone that maybe does manual labor, right? That they can relate to more, right? That they can hear their story and how their experience has been, what they've been able to do here and how they've been able to do it, right? But you want to use stories, and you want to use the stories that help identify with what they know, with what their background is, right? And that's why we always talk about collect stories, because the more you can collect stories inside your business, the more you can have a journal of stories, a book of stories. Guess what? You're going to need those stories. I promise you, you will use every one of those stories at some point in your business, in your whole networking career, because stories is the most believable thing from other people to get people to check that box and say, okay, maybe this isn't too good to be true. I just heard 3 or 4 or 5 of these different stories. I get it. I can relate. This does make sense.
Yeah. So, and on top of that too, I mean, I love using an ATM group for when people think it's too good to be true, because inside of there, it's like the proof's in the pudding, right? There's all kinds of testimonials, right? From business side and product side, and they can take a look at the business, and they can take a look more at the products, right? So they can just see all this just social proof, right? It's just like rattling through that whole entire group. So then they have to sit up and pay attention. For them, it's like, wow, this is all real, right? It helps them see like the realness of what we're doing. And then also too, guys, a 3-way chat, right? Which is awesome. It allows that person to tell a story. It allows that your mentor, right, who you're working with or expert, allows them to actually share some of their stories in there as well. So I love to utilize those, right, for when people say that, or even like Tony talked about, really the stories. But make sure you know who you're talking to when it comes to the stories, right? Because if you're talking to someone that's very, very, very successful, you don't want to just share the story of, Joey, who just wanted to make an extra $250 a month, right? You want to be able to share these other stories. So I like to have all these different stories, right? Stories of people, just getting started, getting in profitability. I have the stories of people where they're able to, make the same type of income that they're at their full-time job. And then I also have people that are like flat out getting wealthy, right? So have those different categories of stories that you can share with those types of people when it comes to, hey, it's too good to be true.
Yeah. Right? Number 4, this is a big one. Your prospect doubts they can do it.
Right. I can't do this. Yes. I can't do what you do.
But here's the biggest thing you can do here. Reasonable expectations. That is everything when you're talking to somebody.
Yeah. So with these guys, these guys also are like, they're afraid to make a mistake, right? They're like, what if I get involved and I can't do this right? I make a mistake, right? So it's like, they're already kind of self-sabotaging themselves even before they're getting started. They're already assuming, well, I'm going to fail, right? So in here, I'll tell you, there's a number of things you guys want to do. Number 1, they got to see the system, right? So show them the system of your company. If they see the simple system, right? I always tell people, like, I always, in the back of my mind, once I show someone the business, I show them the system right away. Because in their mind, they're thinking, okay, this is great, but if I did this, what would I do? Right? If I did this, what would I do? And so that's why a lot of times you might have people sitting on the fence, because that's what's happening in the brain, right? So make sure it's like, hey, listen, when you get started, right, this is what it looks like. And you show them the simplicity of it, where they go, oh, hey, because that's their thing, is why they're doubting, is they don't know what's the roadmap. What does this actually look like, right? But also on top of that, guys, intro them. Throw them in a 3-way chat. Get them connected with people. Let them meet other people like them. Let them meet your upline, right? Let them meet your sponsor, right? Get them connected so then they can see, like, oh my gosh, this isn't just going to be like someone's going to sign me up and say, hey, go get them. There's this amazing community that I can be a part of, where I don't have to do this by myself.
Yeah.
Right? I don't have to do this by myself.
Yeah. And I think it's important too here is that, you have a real talk with them and let them know this is a real business. This isn't a get rich quick scheme. This isn't something that you're going to talk to 1 or 2 people and go all the way to the top, right? And that, you're going to figure this thing out, and you're going to be probably really bad at it in the beginning, but you're going to have all of it around you to help you get through this. But it's kind of you're going to earn and learn at the same time, and you're going to start growing, and you're going to start figuring this thing out. But again, you just have to be reasonable with your expectations and just say, hey, you know what? You're going to have highs, you're going to have lows, you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days. But guess what? That's business, and you're learning something new. You're getting good at something, that you're maybe trying for the first time. But there's a learning curve in our business, and everyone has a learning curve. And, I'm going to help you take that learning curve and condense it down as small as I can for you, because I want you to win here. And I'm going to show you exactly how you're able to get results here fast so that you can feel good about your decision.
Yep. So with the reasonable expectations as well, it's if people have that fear of like, I don't know if I can do this, the last thing you want to do is say, hey, this is what we're going to help you do in the next 5 years, or this is what we're going to help you do in the next year. Like these guys need like micro size things. So it's like, hey, I'm gonna be with you side by side, and like let's help you get your first customer, right? Let's help you enroll your very first person, right? We're gonna help you do that within your first 24 to 48 hours, right? So giving them just these little bite-sized things where it's like that they're not thinking, oh my gosh, I have all this stuff, because that's why they're doubting, is they're like, oh my gosh, it's a sense of overwhelm of having to go build this big business. When the reality is, if we could just show them just how to have one little win, oh, I'm telling you, that confidence is a huge ripple effect on just that one little thing, right?
Yep. And number 5, this is a big one. They failed before in another company or in something else, and they're just worried about the support. They're worrying like, oh my God, is this person going to sign me up and just have to go figure it out because they got my initial investment to get started. Now I'm kind of on my own, and I got to go, just make this happen so I can, see that I'm winning here and get my money back. And here's what you need to do here is you got to make sure that you walk them through your training. You walk them through, how your week looks as far as if you're doing opportunity Zooms, virtually, online, in person, whatever that is, for many of you that are building a business, what your training looks like, what your groups look like, where they can go access everything, what the support is. I'm a big fan of introducing them to as many people as possible, not only inside the team, but also the corporate team, the people that, are big fans of yours, inside of the company that do different things in different roles. Make sure they meet everybody. The more people they can meet, the more people they can see, the more they can hear a story, the more they can see that, man, this is solid. Holy cow, I've never seen support like this. I've never seen a plan like this. Like, yeah, I might have failed before, but heck, I got a great shot at winning on this one, right? And you got to make sure that they get that, or else it is going to be a big thing to go the other way on you.
Yep. And I think too, what I love about that is it's also getting back to the backstory. I mean, in there, anytime I have someone that says they failed in it, I always ask them, oh my gosh, well, what happened? And that's really where you can deep dive with them, guys. Because typically, like, I had someone that signed me up and I had no support, or they can give you a number of things. I didn't know what to do, or I had a hard time making money, or I didn't love the product or service, whatever, right? So whatever they answer from there are so many tools that you have inside of your company that you can talk about and get them connected with, right? So you can show them how they can make money here right away, right? You can show them the amazing product in the stories in the ATM group where people can see people are getting great results, right? If they didn't have good leadership or whatever, get them connected with your sponsor, your line right away, right? If they didn't have, good support, right? Show them, what the support looks like here, the cause that you guys are really behind, what they get to be a part of, right? All of that. So be willing to take a step back with them, and instead of saying, I remember back in the day when someone say, well, I failed this before. And I'm like, well, have you ever dated, did you ever date somebody that wasn't great? I mean, you don't date anymore. You know what I mean? Like just dumb stuff like that, where it's like, no. Like take the time to be kind and be human and ask them what they will tell you exactly. And then you'll know exactly how to guide them along to, show them the other resources that you have for them to make a decision to say, hey, yes, I'm in, right? Yes, I want to join the business. So take time to be willing, to do that. And I know that for a lot of us, we all want more people to say yes. right? We want more people to say, hey, I want to join your business, or I want to be part, or we have these people that, like I said, sit on the fence, right? Which I don't know about you, but those ones drive me crazy. Those are like worse than saying yes or no, right? The ones that are just sitting there and I'm like, make a decision already. So one question that I found myself doing that helped me kind of like push these guys in one way or another over the fence is I would just ask a simple question of, once they saw the business, right, and they didn't make a decision, I would say, what information, right, do you need, or what clarification do you need? What do you need to understand better, right, to make a decision? And then I'm quiet and I let them then at that point tell me what they need. Typically, they're like, well, I don't really understand, like, if I did this, what would I do? Or how do I actually, I don't really understand how to make money here, or I don't really understand about this, right? So then whatever they tell you, right, instead of us typically, we're regurgitating all this information that 9 times out of 10, that prospect, they don't even care about. They don't even want to hear. And so we've already lost them, right? People are like, why didn't they say yes? I'm like, because you're giving them a bunch of info they don't even care about, right? Like, go to them in the area that they actually really care and they need clarification on. So whatever that answer is, guess what? There are a gazillion different third-party tools that you can get in front of them, right? And help move them along for them to come to say yes a lot quicker, right? So I would encourage you guys to start doing that. Ask them, hey, what other info do you need to say yes? You know what I mean? What other information do you need, or clarification for you to understand what we're doing and to come be part of it, right? And be quiet and be still in it, and then let them tell you. And then it's a simple guide, and it's just kind of sometimes a little bit of a process to yes, and sometimes it's right away. Right?
So good, babe. Let's give them a bonus one. You want to give them a bonus one?
All right, let's give them a bonus one.
Okay, a bonus one is a big one too. It's people that are thinking, well, I don't want to incur any more debt. I have so much debt on my credit card, or I don't have the money to do something like this right now. And this is where you got to make sure, if you have like daily pay in your company, you start talking about how you're able to get daily pay right away. Because most people, they think, well, do I got to wait a week or a month for my first check? You know, gosh, that seems like a whole, you know, far time and long time. And man, that doesn't sound exciting to me. So if you have daily pay, talk about your daily pay. Talk about, you know, how your business works and how your compensation plan works, and show them how they can get their initial investment back right away.
Before the credit card statement comes.
That's right. That's right. And the faster you can show them that and really explain that to them, and have them make sure they ask some questions so that's super clear to them, guess what happens? That takes a lot of pressure off them. Then they're like, oh man, that's awesome. And this is great. And that's exactly what Sarah just said. In their mind, they're thinking, I can have my initial investment back before I even get my credit card statement. This is like the best thing ever. And you're talking about daily pay, or you're talking about weekly pay, which I think 99% of companies have today, right?
Right. Well, and here's the thing, guys. The mistake that I made is I'm not a big comp plan person. You know what I mean? Some of you guys watching, you might be like, I'm not a big comp plan. Like Tony, he knows our business more. He knows everybody in our team business better than probably most of them, right down to the penny. That's not how I'm wired. But I made the mistake of like not really trying to do our comp plan, which is so dumb. It's like, listen, you're in a business where you can build a big business, like know your comp plan, right? So don't be on here today and just be like, well, I don't know it. Just because, you know, like you don't know it doesn't mean you shouldn't learn it, right? So with this, because there are going to be quite a few people that say, I don't have the money to get started, right? Or I don't want to, like Tony said, incur more debt. And so if you can show them like, hey, this is how you can get in profitability your first 14 days here, boom. This is how you can do it your first 30 days here, right? This is how you can earn your first $500. This is how you can earn your first $1,000, right? Know at least just those simple things in the beginning, because again, it's about building credibility, right, with you as well. Know your stuff, like know your comp plan, know how to show people how they can make money, and more importantly, how to improve credibility, right out of the gate.
Yeah, and this is where you really want to have your stories ready, and you know, your new people that are getting started that make $50, $100, a couple $100, $500, whatever that is, and say, hey, you know what, Sarah, I totally get that. I'm going to put you in a three-way chat right now with Susie. She got started 3 weeks ago. She made like $300 the last 3 weeks. I just want you to hear her story really quick because she had the same concerns you had when she got started 3 weeks ago. You're going to love it. Boom, you do that introduction, let Susie know, that you're putting Sarah in that chat so that she knows exactly what she needs to over so that she can help Sarah, get over the line and make a good decision to start with you.
Yeah, exactly. So guys, so I know that all of us, we are out there talking to a lot of people. We're having great conversations, right? 'Tis the season for people to be social. So we are all, connecting like crazy. Most of you guys have a lot of people that are sitting on the fence. And so really your job this week, I want to encourage you guys to kind of give you an assignment is to go back to those guys and find out what do they need clarification on, what, information do they need to make a decision, right? But then also understanding as you're continuing these conversations, remember a lot of these things that we talked about today are actually going to be on their mind. And so now being on the proactive side of things, right? And really understanding kind of like what's in their mind, right? As you are connecting with them is going to allow you to be a better guide to help get through really all of this stuff, guys, comes down to being afraid. And when you can move them out of that, being afraid into being brave and being excited, right, about being part of something, you're going to get so many people that say yes. So I want to encourage you guys, to use some of this stuff. I encourage you to, make it your goal this week to get as many people off the fence, before the new year starts. And let's just have an awesome recruiting week together. So hope you guys got some great value out of today. We encourage you guys to share this out. It's been awesome to hang out with you on Monday.
Yep.
Right?
Go crush it.
And we'll talk to you guys soon.